Hi everyone, this is Nadia and Jake, Buddy and Sedona, and today we're going to talk about Glass Onion, a sequel of Knives Out, although with a completely new cast.
Except for Daniel Craig.
Except for Daniel Craig. A showstopper, I think.
Yeah, it's a little different from the first one. And
very different.
Went into more fantastical territory, a little bit more on the nose regarding social commentary, I thought, which I'll get into later. I don't think it's better than the first one.
I think it's just a different dynamic. The first one is very family oriented, and the second one is very friend/coworker oriented, and it's more of a whodunit in a different setting. Also, the first one I don't think mixes class as much. I mean, there's like a couple people who are outside of this hierarchical class system that they present. In the second film, The Glass Onion, it is much more obvious who has the power and who does not.
Well, and I think that's one thing that people will either love or hate about these movies. And in the first one, if it annoyed you that the social commentary was, on the nose or, too obvious, which I thought it worked perfectly in Knives Out. I thought, it was clearly like a story about class and power and was a great critique. I thought that this one was much more of a broad satire. It was way less restrained, and right from the start, it was like, spoiler alert for the opening scene. It's not really a spoiler, but Jake Tapper is in this movie. He's in the opening scene. He's playing Jake Tapper. He's playing himself, but in the opening scene, it's just kind of like, how Jake Tapper is in Glass Onion? Okay.
Yeah.
And there are some interesting cameos in it, of course, but it is way more like we're skewering the rich and powerful, and even more involved here is it's set during COVID, during the beginning of 2020. It has less to do with the story than it just sort of window dressing.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I don't know if it has less to do with the story itself. I think it shows like the different ways of dealing and the accessibility during this pandemic. And I think it just the COVID itself is an example in the film of how the social hierarchical system works.
Yeah, I mean, they use it to really make them look super villainous and
super
shitty.
Villainous, but also it's much more privileged. They have more access, so it doesn't impact them as much, and that's very obvious, right? They have more mobility, not only as in they can travel to multiple more places, but also in the sense of they have access to the latest and greatest, which we can get into later.
There is way more like social commentary and satire, and the humor is way more broad, and the jabs are way more obvious. And to me, the first one felt like an engaging mystery with characters I really cared about, and then the social commentary was underneath everything. It was there, but it was played second fiddle to the main story, whereas I thought this was, all the social commentary was right on the surface, and the characters was more like underneath. That was like not as important to me as like what they were presenting with, kind of like making fun of the culture.
Yeah, I think the character revelation in this film is part of the whole mystery, because once it's solved, you kind of get to see, oh, okay, this is why this person is you discover their character, and through that you get to see why they were the person who had done it,
Well, that's my problem, I think, with the story is that I feel like I didn't really care or engage with the story at like a deeper, like it was still fun, but I didn't really care about it until like an hour in, until the revelation you mentioned, when I felt like we got a character I could actually care about, because for the first half of the movie, it's just like, oh, everyone's detestable, except for the detective, but he's not much of a character,
He becomes a big character later on, though.
He does, yeah. But I think that, I don't know, how would you rate it?
I would rate it a solid 9.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, what would you rate Knives Out?
I would rate that a solid 9 as well. They were equally good to me.
Huh. I thought this was definitely a step down.
Wow, okay. What would you rate it then?
I'd give Knives Out like a high 8.
Oh, wow. You really liked that one.
Knives Out?
Yeah.
I love Knives Out.
So what would you rate this?
Knives Out was a uniquely thrilling experience. I had such a great time watching that.
Okay.
It was just unlike anything else. Nothing's going to top that same feeling in the same way when you kind of know, like, okay, I want a similar feeling to Knives Out, because that was unique. I'd give it like a 6.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, low 7, I guess, maybe, if I'm being generous. But I mean, the problem is, like, if I had just seen this without seeing anything else, I just had really high expectations for Rian Johnson for this movie. I really loved the first one. And this one was just kind of like, I don't know, the mystery wasn't as surprising, the stuff that they put in there. It wasn't like the first one where I was like, wow, I didn't see that coming. that was a really unique way to tell the story. To me, I was like, all right, yeah, this makes sense. And like, while it definitely served the social commentary, and this is a movie that's definitely like ideas focused and making a statement, it just depends on your mileage. Like if you like movies that do that and are very wear the message on its sleeve, then great. I don't always love that, and I thought that the movie just, I don't know, it was lacking like character drive for me. Everyone felt so one note caricature, just like became very clear of like, okay, who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, and it was good though.
I would argue that it's the same thing for the first film. I do have a question about something you stated. Do you feel like when you were like, oh, that makes sense, like did you know who the villain and everyone who their character was going to turn out to be from the very beginning? I mean, like, I know, like you said, a lot of people are on the nose, but did you know who done it, like, from the beginning?
The problem is that you don't know that anything happened for the first hour. There is no on-screen death or mystery until an hour passes. So it has a really long first act. And I felt like, is this even a mystery movie? Like, I was kind of wondering, maybe it's just going to be like a funny thing where like no murder even happens. And we're just hanging out on this island with these rich assholes. When it happens, it's just kind of like not super, I don't know. It just wasn't super surprising. Like that's when the story definitely got more interesting. And when the reveal happens, that's interesting as somewhat, I wasn't super in love with that reveal, but
so you didn't know what the reveal like what it was going to be, but when it was done you were like, oh, okay, that would make sense why it is the way it is, kind of thing. Is that what you mean when you said that it was kind of like obvious? The
reveal is kind of just like pulling the rug out from under you, which is good and was like engaging. I kind of wish that it happened maybe sooner in the movie. Maybe I would have been more engaged with the who ends up being the protagonist. Because then by the time we realize who the protagonist is and who we're rooting for, it felt like a little too late for me in the story. I don't know. I will say that all the window dressing, all the set dressing, everything that makes it fun to watch, like a Knives Out story where we have the rich assholes and like the caricatures and the stereotypes, like that's all fun. And the actors, A-listers, are clearly having a great time. And I love seeing that. It was totally enjoyable, just like great entertainment, but I did feel somewhat underwhelmed.
I can see how like the story took a little bit longer. I didn't feel like it was just like watching them hang around. I felt like there was mystery from the very beginning. Why is this person who is high in status apparently? Why is he inviting them to the island? And also, why is the detective there?
Yeah, right? You're right. That was a good.
So obviously something was going on, and you don't really know what was happening. True, yeah. And that was the mystery in the beginning, and didn't necessarily need like, oh, this was the victim, right? It was kind of like you're trying to figure out like what was the ulterior motive, and then that kind of gets slowly revealed. I thought from the beginning, because of that, like I said, it didn't feel like it was, yeah, I'm just hanging out on this island kind of thing. Right. I thought it.
I mean, there definitely were things to pull you in, but I did feel like, okay, this is a murder mystery. Like, when is it going to start? A little bit. And I was getting a little like, not impatient because it was entertaining, but I was feeling like, where's the point? Like, where's this going?
I didn't know that it was a murder mystery. I thought it was just going to be a mystery for after the whole beginning. I was like, maybe this one isn't a murder mystery. Maybe it's like a different type of mystery of something, that will happen. Like,
yeah, but there was no clear, like, what is the question to be solved?
Yeah, yeah, I feel that.
There's no crime.
So would you recommend this?
Oh, yeah. If you liked the first Knives Out, I think you'll have a fun time. I don't think anyone who enjoyed the first one will hate the second one. There's funny moments, funny characters. There were some things that kind of annoyed me. I was kind of like, why don't they just do this? Or why is this like the only option, where I felt like they were kind of trying to simplify the mystery a little bit, make things work. But the biggest thing that just kind of brought me out of the movie was fantastic and like almost science fiction elements in the movie that felt like this is a little convoluted and a little contrived just so that you can make a point and have a social commentary here about this element. If it maybe had reined it in a little bit, the message could have been more impactful at the end and snuck up on you. Instead, it was just kind of like, I felt the author or the filmmaker just kind of like hammering the point in every scene, just like, this is what the movie's about. And it's like, I don't know. I felt like it was a little too over the top. Again, depends how you want to, it's taste, completely. But that's where it pushed me a little away. Not that I disagree with the message of the film. I think, I'm all for it, but the style wasn't my favorite.
Yeah, you and I are going to be opposite in this. I really like the style for the film. And obviously, if you don't know by my rating, I definitely recommend it. So before we move into spoiler section, if you have seen it, let us know if the style's for you or not. But otherwise, we're moving on to the spoiler section.
Spoilers. The twins. The big twin.
So
twist.
There is Andy, Cassandra, who dies apparently by suicide. Later on, we find out it's not by suicide. And her twin sister, we find out that the twin is the one who recruited the detective who was played by Daniel Craig.
Right.
And
right.
That's really where all folds. As Jake mentioned, like that really we don't get this revelation around until 75% of the film.
Well, I appreciate you for mentioning earlier in the review that there are small mysteries that kind of keep you going for the first hour. It's not just all nothing.
Yeah.
Because you have the mystery of why are they invited to the island, And
then also why
it's
like why is Cassandra there? Because everyone
And that's the other one is why is Andy there and why are they all angry at her? Why is she angry at them?
Yeah.
And we learned that there was a big trial and they all, testified against her, screwed her over, saying that her ideas weren't the foundation of the company. And Edward Norton's character, the big, dumb billionaire,
Miles,
basically stole the company from her. And
the reason why he did it is because he had a very dumb idea. This is where the sci-fi aspect kind of kicks in, where he wanted to use this little crystal ball thing as an energy source. It was very dangerous, not very tested, but he was very arrogant. And then Andy saw this was a very arrogant move, so she wouldn't sign off on it. So therefore, he stole the whole company from her in order to pursue his endeavor so that he can push on this crystal energy. And it kind of just, I think the message behind that is like the impact of rich people, and also like you figure out that he is, well, after it's revealed, you realize that, oh, okay, he's the one who actually killed Andy and made it look like a suicide because he gets his ideas from other people. He doesn't really have his own brain. He just kind of steals ideas from everyone else.
He's Elon Musk, It's like
they really portrayed him as if he was, yeah.
And one thing that I love, and I thought that this was a great moment in the movie, is that when Benoit Blanc figures out the mystery and he goes, oh, this isn't, we were looking at it all wrong, It's like, obviously like glass onion, there's no layers, it's just hollow, it's just fake. There's nothing deeper in it. And he's just like, wow, it was so stupid. He just traded glasses. And it's like, and then I love when, I think it was Kate Hudson's character, when he's like, this is so stupid. And then she goes, so stupid, it's brilliant. And he goes, no, it's just stupid.
Well, that's why I actually like, and I disagree with you about like it being over the top, because I think like the film is very self-aware that it's over the top, and that's the point. Because like Daniel Craig's character even goes like, this is just so stupid. You're so stupid. This mystery is so fucking stupid, And that's like the funniness in there. There's a little bit of a humor that comes with that.
Yeah, that's the point. But I feel like overall the mystery itself, the murder mystery, wasn't as satisfying as I was hoping. I felt like just some things were a little too convoluted. Like certain things they came to just like broad assumptions as the detective, kind of like someone had to have had the napkin with them when they came onto the islands. Like, no, I don't think they necessarily had to have that, but they just kind of go with that to keep the story going. And then when they have like a list of who could have killed Andy, right? And they're keeping a list of like who could have been there, who had the motive opportunity. I'm like, okay, yeah, this works when you're playing like a game of Clue, but when you're thinking like, okay, a billionaire probably has the resources to hire someone to do this for him, and not necessarily be connected. Like the fact that they assume Edward Norton literally drives there to kill her personally, like I feel like that's
that goes into like him being stupid, because Daniel Craig's character said like he wouldn't hire someone and get his hands dirty when he has other people who would do it for him for free. And that's why they would have the whole napkin with them to show him and get favor from him because he's rich. So like they're putting Kate Hudson, all these other different characters that we see as more leeches. like they're gonna like really nothing with backbone. They're kind of like going to flex whichever way gives them power, and they don't really have like anything of their own. So that's, I think, where those things come from. I think at the end it's like you're just so stupid because no one suspected Miles because he had other people who would probably do that for him, and he just did it himself. And kind of that goes into his like he's using like all the wrong words, right, to try to like make himself sound very intelligent. It's very superfluous, everything. And so as becomes a murder, and I think that's the self-critique that it has, is this is so fucking stupid, is like objective point of view that the film director has in itself that makes it kind of humorous.
I get that's the point, but it also feels like, I don't know, it's just like anti-mystery in a way. And it's like, that's fine. But I love what the first one did, where it was still a mystery and like still hit the beats of the genre. To this, in this movie, it felt a little bit more like raising their hand, just like, well, this is the point, the point is that it's stupid, and
I
it's
get
like,
what you're saying, because it's not a truly whodunit movie.
That's
it's
what I love. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I guess I like things that maybe adhere more to the genre,
Yeah.
while also can critique it. But this one felt a lot more just kind of like, screw the genre, like we're making a point here, which again, that can be really effective. And I thought that those beats at the end were really good. I just thought that certain things, like with the mineral, and the explosion, it just felt very like predictable, in the sense like they say, we're using this to fuel the whole house, and it's like, it could explode. It's like, I wonder how the movie's gonna end.
Yeah, oh, you're right.
Like, they're not gonna just mention that and not blow up the whole mansion.
I will say that's one of the things that I really loved, is when Andy's twin sister, who was pretending to be her the whole time, like just started like smashing everything, and everyone started smashing everything, and then she like burnt up Mona Lisa.
Here's my problem.
Yeah.
I don't think all of his friends should have been smashing things. I think they should have been leeches to the end. I don't like that they got slightly...
No, that is. Like, they were basically, I think that's part of it. They're following the crowd. Like, that goes into the whole thing, is they don't really have true integrity or true loyalty. They're flexible in whichever way the wind blows. And so therefore, like, there was something that was happening there. Like, I was like, oh, it's kind of like they do things because it's at a trend, not necessarily because they believe in it. And at the end, when Miles is no longer someone who is going to probably have a prosperous career due to the fact that his whole freaking island is exploding because of his invention, or one that he took credit of, they are ready to turn on him and, go the other way. I think, like, in a lot of ways, you hear powerful moguls who maybe have a tragic death, or people who like turn into wrong side. They like people around them say, yes, this person had a lot of yes people around them,
Well, yeah.
And I think that's like no different case here.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about the fact that, I mean, mysteries are so hard, to create and execute well. And I think that it's like the fact that Knives Out works so well is it's a miracle. I think this one just doesn't work as well for me. And that personally comes down to the mystery and how it unfolds. Yeah. I didn't love that so much was kept from the audience until halfway through the movie. They weren't letting us see the whole picture of what was... I get that's the point, but it's like, it felt like too much was not shown to us, that when it's just like all this information is revealed to us in the middle of the movie, it's like, okay, this isn't really about this. It's about this other thing. And like that, I don't know. I feel like I would like to watch it again, but... It
was too much of a mystery within mystery, basically,
yeah,
right?
So I didn't really
the first
feel...
one was following a formula.
It was following a formula, and it twists the formula a little bit. And I think maybe that's what Rian Johnson was trying to do in this one, was kind of get that sense of, we're following the formula, but then there's a twist, of, oh, we didn't see that coming, and it becomes a whole different thing. So I feel like they were trying to do that with this one, and it just didn't... I don't know, it didn't work as well with me. I wasn't as satisfied with the mystery, with the conclusion of the mystery. But I loved Janelle Monáe. I thought she was fantastic playing the twins. Daniel Craig was great. Edward Norton was hilarious.
Yes.
And it was like perfect casting for that character.
I thought everyone did a really great job in portraying just assholes, or... like, there are clear antagonists and protagonists in the story, right? And then I think it's very clear that the only protagonists are the twins, and the detective. Everyone else is antagonist.
I have a feeling everyone's going to side with you on this review.
I don't know. I have a feeling they're going to side with you. Tell us
To a
which one you
point.
side with.
I think they're going to think I'm too harsh and maybe you're too forgiving.
I have seen those comments. Let us know what you think and who
Let
you
us
side
know what
with.
you think.
Otherwise, we'll talk to you later. Thank you so much. Bye.
Talk to you later. Bye.